Happy Devil's Sunday. This is the Let's Go podcast, streaming live on all your favorite platforms, YouTube, Facebook, the formerly known as Twitter X, which we pay extra for. I think we're also on Twitch. I think we are on Friendster, MySpace, and you can download our last 7 years of podcast also on Napster. Beer Baron.
On Napster.
First of all, we need to thank the great Sam Wu for putting this podcast together, as always. And, well, Beer Baron, here we are in the midst of a Western swing.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, first game went great. Second game didn't. But how are you doing today?
I'm a little tired, man. Not gonna lie, I'm a little tired. I was taking a little snooze before the show today. Like having that pregame nap that the players do before they go out there, which remind me to tell you that I apologize about yesterday. I didn't get a chance to call you guys
okay.
or anything. I was wrapped up with like a million different things. But anyways, yeah, the West Coast swing started off great. Nothing like pitching a shutout and then getting shut out. It's kind of a weird back to back. But you know, they still sit there at 7.52. So they're still not, it's still early. It's still early. And so far they're not looking bad. It'll be interesting to see how they rebound from this game. And to be honest with you, I watched that game in Calgary, and it wasn't like they were getting outplayed. It just like Calgary broke through, and it felt like whatever team was going to break through was the team that was going to take that one. So unfortunately, It was our good old friend Blake Coleman, but they broke through, and that was it, and the rest is history. So, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think so far?
You know, the shutout was great. It was good to see Markstrom get his first shutout. You know, Jake Allen got his earlier on in the season against Utah. You know, Jake Allen gets his first shutout, or excuse me, Markstrom gets his first shutout in Vancouver, a team which he used to play in. Play for, a city he used to play in, and a team he's used to playing quite a bit. You know, and you figure he was probably going to get a bit of a personal bump playing in Calgary, and I guarantee that there were probably nerves. They were talking on, I forget if it was on the television broadcast when I got home, or if it was on the radio when I was driving home, about how it's interesting playing in a city. It may have also been the Vancouver game, now that I think of it. It was Bryce saying, talking about how it is to go back to a team you used to play for, and you're seeing the staff you knew, you're seeing your friends from town that you used to know. So I'm sure Markstrom got a lot of that more so in Calgary than Vancouver, and I want to say that the Calgary fans are giving him some shtick as well. You know, could he have been nervous going into that one? Oh, I'm sure. You know, could that have affected his game? And absolutely could have. But I think Markstrom played great, with the exception of a bad tip, which those things you have to just say, well, shrug it off and just say, what the heck, when you're in net. And then a really awful defensive play on that 2-on-1, and then there's the game. Plus they were out shooting the Devils could not put anything offensively past I forget the goalie's name, but he didn't play very many games so far this season. And we were being outshot quite a bit. So that's what you get in Calgary. I commanding lead on the Hughes Bowl. I know that it's something like 7-2 or something stupid like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
There's our early season little trophy. You know, we're leading the Hughes Bowl, but the Calgary loss, it definitely hurt. But in watching those two goals, those are not on Jacob Markstrom. You know, I mean, one thing, the other thing I should say, he can't go out there and score goals. He can only do what he can to keep them out. And he pitched a shutout for the first two periods. So again, it's just poor defense is and a lack of offense. I think our offense dried up after Vancouver.
Yeah, and they say in Calgary. I know a couple of people are talking about this in the chat right now on YouTube. Is all you need is a tip. All you need is a tip. So the team looks all right. You know, I feel like there's a lot of positives that are going on right now. One of them being Nico Hischier is on an absolute heater.
Oh my gosh, he's on a tear.
and not just scoring goals, like his all around game right now is absolutely incredible. And it finally feels like, not that he's really, stepping into himself, because he's always had that defensive game, but the scoring touch this year has been there right off the bat. And I mean, is he going to keep this pace up the entire season? Probably not. But at the same time, right now, the way that Nico Hischier's playing, like you hope that he can stay relatively in the realm of where he is right now, and then other guys start to get heated up. I mean, Hughes is starting to get Jack is starting to get a little a fire lit under him.
Hmm.
Timo's been playing nice, been playing pretty good. And he's racking up points too. So they're offensively, they're not bad. But one stat that I find super interesting is something that unfortunately Scotty, who's on assignment tonight, shared with us yesterday, is that the fact that the Devils are leading the league in hits with like
Yes, I love
something
that.
like 234 right now, and the Panthers are in second at like 211,
Which is not a
whatever the
shock.
case is, which is not a shock. It was a big blow losing Lazar, and we're going to be losing Lazar for a little while, and that kind of stinks. But yeah, this team is showing some grit, showing some physicality. And what do you think about that?
I love that. I think that we needed to make that change after last season. We needed to up that physicality, and I think the pieces we brought in, it's going to make that was definitely going to make that happen,
Mm-hmm.
and we're doing good in that department. I mean, the Panthers are a relentlessly punishing team, and it won them a Stanley Cup last year, and that's really what
Mm-hmm.
you need to do. It sucks that we lost.
Curtis
I'm drawing.
Lazar.
Yes, thank you. I was drawing a blank. It sucks that we lost Curtis Lazar because I feel like he was a big part of that. But and then Stefan, no, I just saw that Bastion was sent back to Jersey with a broken jaw. So there's
Mm-hmm.
another one of those grinder players. But you know what? We're in this situation. So we have these two early injuries of our, four third line guys. And, now the next guy's just got to step up and do it. So this is where the depth of our team is going to come and play. And I don't see us laying off in the physicality in that department.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to keep it going.
Yeah, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose a little bit with those two guys being out, and hopefully Bastion's not going to be out for a long time. But with a broken jaw,
Hmm.
you figure when he
Yeah,
comes back, he's not going to be able to, even if he's wearing that protective cage, he's not
yeah,
going to be able
he'll do that.
to mix. Yeah, he's not going to be able to mix it up right away.
Hmm.
So whoever goes in for him on the fourth line, it's going to be, you got to kind of keep that tempo. You got to kind of keep that pace. Having Cotter out there, having Dylan out there, who are two of the guys that are leading the way for that
Hmm.
physicality, two guys that they brought to this team and doing exactly what they need them to do. Um, yeah, dude, it's just like it's a nice piece to this game that they've been missing. And I know a lot of people freaked out, when Brack got hit in that game and nobody did anything. And everybody was like, oh, well, same old Devils. Like, nobody's retaliating. Nobody's sticking up for anybody. I don't, yeah, maybe in that moment, I don't know why something wasn't done. I don't know why someone, didn't go out there and try to take command of what was going on, because it kind of also led to that game falling apart after that moment. But
Hmm.
it doesn't feel like this is a team that's going to get pushed around anymore. And at 7-5-2, yeah, would we like to have had a couple more wins and been a couple more under? Because right now we're tied for second
Hmm.
place in the Metro, I believe. But there's a lot of teams that we've played 3 or 4 more games than, so there's a lot of
Yep.
teams that have games in hand. Yeah, I would like to see them win more, but I feel like they're on the right track.
Yeah, and looking at our record for all of October, which was jam packed, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a pattern which I know we've talked about before, and it's something that I if we continue this pattern, with the exception of one stretch of 4 games, I think we'll be good. It's win loss, win loss, win overtime loss, loss overtime loss, win loss. So the 2 wins versus 1 loss, that pattern, I like that pattern because I know we're not going to
Mm-hmm.
go 80. We were not obviously going to go 82-0, And I know we love to see winning streaks, but all winning streaks eventually come to an end. And I think if you just methodically go through and you do the win-win-loss, that 2 wins, 1 loss, that'll get you into the playoffs. And I think right now that should just be the main goal, is just get us into the playoffs. Not to be a downer on this season, which this is absolutely not, but 2 wins to 1 loss is a good ratio, and I'll take that ratio all season.
Yeah, but I agree with Jay Snow. The Devils are way too inconsistent right now, and they need to start putting together some good games. I agree 100%. Like, you would like that game where they pitch a shutout, where Markstrom pitched a shutout. You would like to see more games like that consistently in a row.
Totally.
Where they're commanding the game, like where they feel like they're in command of the entire game, and then yes, these are things, but this is also like a new regime, right? So this is like a new coaching staff. This is a new goaltender. There's still new defense. Like, there's a lot of new pieces that are starting to come together, and I feel like, you want to have them get into a good rhythm, like a good groove, and be more of like a maybe a 3-1, 3-1. So you're winning 3 and then losing 1 or something like that, or a 4-1, 5-1 shoot, a 10-1, 13-1 like we had a couple years ago would be pretty nice. So getting them into a consistent compete level where, you eliminate a lot of these dumb mistakes, because I feel like that's also, this team they're still learning a lot of things. Yeah, there are a lot of these pieces have been here for a while, but maybe you could attest to this. Having a brand new coach and a new system isn't like, hey, you guys have been here, you should be able to take the keys and jump in the car and drive. Sometimes it's going from, automatic to manual. It's like, you're driving a car, but it's completely different.
And let's not forget, we had 2 practices in 16 games. So that right there is not an easy way to put in a new system. And you're going to hope that the guys, without practicing like that, or it's like, here's the system, you guys have been here, you guys can do it. And then when it doesn't work because you haven't had practices, that's not a surprise. So getting some practice time in, which my hope is what's going to happen over the next couple weeks, to really get some structure to this, to all of this. I mean, Brooke Amanda just said in the chat. Max? Brooke Amanda just said in the chat, it would be nice to have the defense and the offense together on the same page for the same game, which is, I completely agree.
Agreed.
So, Max, you're in Switzerland? Hey, good
wild.
morning to you, being in Switzerland. It's that's a place I need to get to, by the way. Go over to Switzerland. But it's like, consistency is just going to be the key thing. And once we get some more practices under our belt and we get through this gauntlet of a first month, it'll be a welcome change to see some time where they can work on things, where they can get the defense on the same page. After tomorrow's game, there's 2 days off, then we have Montreal. But again, if we're looking at it, the stretch of games that we have coming up into the next 2 weeks, we're home against Montreal with 2 days off prior, which they're probably not going to skate on Tuesday when they return home from Edmonton. I'm hoping to get a full practice on Wednesday, and then it's Montreal, day off, Fish Sticks, and San Jose back-to-back. Day off, Florida away, day off, Florida away.
Florida home. Oh, Florida away. Yeah, you're right,
Florida. And then the podcast trip to Tampa Bay is that next Saturday on the 16th, excuse me. But then 4 days off before Carolina home. So hopefully that's a good stretch of time to practice too. So it's there's things to work on. But I'm hoping if they get a practice in between that, the Montreal, before the Montreal game, maybe get one in between the Florida games. But we definitely got to get some more practices in. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's crazy too. Like, do you think, you looking at that schedule and just hearing you say it out loud, it's like, when do you have an opportunity to get everybody together and be like, even look at film, and just be like, all right, well, here's what we need to work on. But guess what, boys? Like, I'm not going to gas you out and have a practice in between unless it's absolutely necessary. And they're like, all right, now, we need to kind of, sort some things out, before we get out there again. But,
they They
The
had 2
schedule's
days
a
off between.
monster.
They had 2 days off between Friday's game and this game, and they're in the same province. So I got to assume that I haven't had time to look because I played 3 games of my own yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if they were on the ice or not yesterday or today because I was just kind of shut myself out from the world earlier this morning. But it's a bear of a schedule. That's without a doubt. And
Mhm.
you're kind of hoping that eventually we get a little bit of wiggle room to have some practices. I mean, we have a stretch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home games in a row coming up in December, which is nice. After playing the Rangers away in the beginning of the month, so we're basically home for a good 2 weeks. Towards the end of November, the whole last weekend in November, with the exception of a Detroit trip, the whole last week in November, and then the first 2 weeks of December. So that's a good chunk of time to be home and to be able to get some practices in too. So the schedule
Yeah.
lightens up a little bit for us, but it still seems like it's going to be a bear of a schedule up until that. Let's not forget we have the Four Nations tournament, which is coming up, which means that we're
Yep.
compact. So
Yeah. Which also means the guys that are going to be participating in that are not going to have that much of a break.
no.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And the one thing that I feel like at least this is happening in the beginning of the season because you want to get, if
Mm-hmm.
this was middle end of the season where they were playing boom, 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 that's when you start to see those big time injuries. That's when you start to see guys breaking down and just kind of, getting worn down, especially goaltenders. You start to see like those weird injuries, like the hip flexors and all that kind of crap. Hey, dude, I really, really hope that they can make it out of this stretch with being on the winning side of things, like
Mm-hmm.
having a positive record. There's being 500 and there's being NHL 500. I just hope that when they're past, let's say, Thanksgiving. Let's put it at Thanksgiving. Let's say that they're 5 games over 500. I feel like that would be a good achievable goal,
Good. Yeah.
and
Well,
that would keep you within the race of wherever you're at too.
and let's not forget November is where the wheels fell off last season. So if we can get through November, especially
Yeah.
get to Thanksgiving, like you're saying, and be 5 games over 500, that's pretty darn good compared to last year. Because last year was by the end of November, we're like, well, we're done, and it just
Mm-hmm.
everything just fell apart. So yeah, Thanksgiving's a really good benchmark, and let's see, we've got this is December still. Looking at the schedules, we're on air. I mean, we play St. Louis, day off, Thanksgiving, and then Detroit for an afternoon game the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh
So,
yeah.
and then Washington at home. So more back to backs. We have 2 back to backs in the month of November.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in Florida for a good stretch of days. And to answer AJ's question, yes, AJ, we're going to Tampa. Sammy and I will be down there in Tampa. So you and I'll have to meet up. It'll be a good time to see the Devils play the Lightning down there in the state of Florida.
A good old state of Florida. Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah. I'm trying to think about like the stretch that they're going to be going on and like the amount of games played. And last year, the biggest, one of the biggest knocks against their schedule was I think they had the most back-to-back games in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
So this year they don't. This year they don't have as many back-to-backs, but boy, do they have just a tight packed schedule for the first like
Yep.
2-3 months of the season. Just out of curiosity, what happens in February? Like, does it ease up at any point? Like, do you see kind of like a break in their schedule at any point?
Well, I mean, we've got a couple. We've got the 4-game break, like I said, later on this month. We've got a 4-day break in January. We've got a 2-day break later on, and then once that tournament starts, for the players not playing, it's a full 2 weeks. Now, I don't know if they're mandated to give their players 2 weeks, like at least one of those 2 weeks off to where they can go, if they're not playing in the tournament, they can go on vacation. And then the rest of the players are practicing. But once February hits, it's game off, game off, game off, back to back, off, game off, game off. It's looking like it's a pretty good tight schedule. And this is what you get when you have It's very much like an Olympic year, this schedule, where you have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff packed in there. Even going through March. I mean, we're doing another back-to-back trip in March when we go out to see Vegas and Vegas and Utah. So
Yeah,
it's looking pretty. There's going to be a stretch where this team is going to go through a lot, and this is why we have depth this season because of this.
yeah.
So, but we'll see what
Well,
happens. We got to get there first. We got to get through November. I'll be happy if we get through November, and like you said, we're over 500. I'll take that in a heartbeat
yeah,
because November again is where the wheels fell off last year.
yeah. Yeah, and already the depth is going to be challenged, with the
Hmm.
loss of Bastion and Lazar. So,
Well,
thankfully,
there goes our secondary scoring, which became our primary scoring.
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so now the primary scorers need to pick it up because the players doing the scoring are starting to become injured a little bit.
yeah, 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 dude. It's just, I- I know they'll be all right. I know they'll
Hmm.
be okay, but I'm just kind of you hope to see uh certain things like kind of work themselves out. I don't know where I'm trying to get at. It's like the injury bug that happened last year. I hope that we can avoid that. And when Curtis Lazar, like you knew he was going to be out for a little while because that knee didn't look good.
Hmm.
Um, it's I know like people will be like, oh well, it's a fourth liner. Like every guy, Curtis Lazar was the guy that's leading the team with hits.
Yeah.
Like he is leading the team with hits. I think Cotter's number two. Um, you can't downplay the role that these guys have been playing. Like that fourth line has been playing, pivotal minutes in certain games. So a loss of anybody, regardless of who it is, obviously you don't want to lose your top guys. But right now, getting that team chemistry and getting everybody on the same page and like the consistency that we were talking about before, having these stupid injuries, like it doesn't help. So now we have to kind of go through it. And I hate to say it, Utica is like, oof, I think they're 0-8-1. They're reeling right now. Like Utica
Hmm.
is not playing good hockey. And you, you feel bad having to take from them. I mean, you have McDermott that's able to play,
Yep.
um, but he's not an everyday kind of guy. You know what I
He's
mean?
going to
And
have to be. He's going to have to be for a little bit.
do you?
He's
So I know they're not desperate, but would you ever mess around with the idea of playing Nemec at wing?
I don't think we're that desperate to do that yet.
Hmm.
I think that uh, if anything, you give Kermit
Kermit.
you,
Kermit the Frog here.
you give you give McDermott his opportunity to get some games in.
Hmm.
He got a couple, and I think he's going to get his opportunity to get more games in. I don't think we're desperate enough to start throwing defensemen up to the wing, a la like we did with Smith last year. But
Hmm.
it's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, that's kind of unfortunately for the Utica fans, that's the point of Utica is for the Devils to send their players down and to bring them up when they're needed.
Hmm.
You know, unless there was a reason to put Nemec at wing and then bring up Seamus Casey, but I don't think we're at that point yet of desperation. I think we're far from it. This time, late in the season last year, yeah, we were that desperate, but I don't think we're that desperate right now. Guys are going to have to come in and play in the fourth line, and they're going to have to perform. They're going to have to show why they need to be kept around because, we could always pull a waiver signing. We could always, make a trade for a pick, to bring in a
Hmm.
player. And I know that Fitzgerald is really good at getting those bargain deals and to bringing the proper players in that are needed.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but oh my god, I I don't know. I'm actually like, and maybe somebody else can help us out because I have the worst luck with this sometimes. I'm trying to look at, excuse me, I'm trying to look at who they have lined up to bring in. Golly.
My buddy Goody, I want Kermit McDermott.
Kermit McDermott here. Kermit McDermott. Kermit McDermott. That's his estranged brother.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
The one who gets in bar fights and wakes up with a black eye and doesn't know how or why.
Oh my God! What the? Yeah, he's like he just demolishes people. He's like,
What did I do last night? Why am I bleeding?
just
The dumb things when our chaperones are out of town.
I know. Oh my God. Anyways, yeah, I'm not gonna find it, but
No.
yeah. So it's interesting though. Like the Devils, like the one thing you look at the standings too, and that's the one thing that's kind of deceiving right now because like the Devils have, I think, like I said, they have 16 points. Yeah, let me do the math. Yeah, 16 points right now, and I think the Rangers, unfortunately, are 8-2-1, and they're up in first place, right? So they have 17 points. Devils have 16 points. But here's the thing, though, is like the Rangers have only played like 11 games, and we have played, a heck of a lot more. So we played 14 games now. So they have 3 games in hand, which those are the things that suck right now. Is like the fact that so many teams have games in hands on us, and games in hands. But they just need to be consistent, and if they can be consistent, they can possibly start to put things together. Oh, Foot. Thank you, Tom. The old Foot boy.
It could be an option. Max did say put Seamus Casey at forward. I think I would rather see that than putting Nemec at forward. Seamus Casey has the hands to do it, but it's also that's a big change for any player.
Yeah.
To go play a whole different position. Brendan Smith was the Swiss Army knife at times last year, but I don't know. Seamus Casey would be, but then again, you never know. Seamus Casey may be willing to do anything and everything to stay up with the big club, so he may be up for it. But again, we're not that desperate yet. That's for sure.
Dude, I'll tell you though, if we brought Casey up, you feel kind of bad for Nemec. There's got to be, when are they going to fit him back into the lineup? He can't be sitting in the press box all year. Like, that's just such a waste. Like, are they going to send him down at some point? Or are they going to bring him in?
I don't know. That's got to be partially on him for showing them in practice why they need to put him in.
I know.
That's kind of on him. And again, it's a whole new regime. So if things aren't looking good, then they're gonna put you in the press box. But we also don't know if he has homework in the press box. We don't know if he's just sitting there eating popcorn or if he has to watch, player X, player Y, and what's going on. So I have no idea. Where these are things we're not privy to, because you would assume if he's in the press box, he's got an assignment to do. He's got something to do. It's like watch these trends, watch this, watch that. So you don't know if what's going on up there.
Yeah. There's a trade. Corbin said trade incoming. I don't know. If you're trading Nemec, there better be a name like Tkachuk coming back or Brady Tkachuk.
Pierre Barron, don't you dare start rumors. Don't you dare talk about things, because I know. What do we know? Where's podcast on Reddit?
Nothing. Reddit these nuts. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, it's not helping his trade value by sitting in the press box right now either. So,
no.
If they're gonna trade him, you could still get a decent amount for Nemec, but I don't know if I would want to give up on him that early or at all, for that matter. You could see his potential, and we know his potential is, his ceiling is really high. So. And there's no room for him right now.
Defensemen take much longer to develop. That's what we got to remember. We're seeing these young guys in defense because we had to see them. But when you have the time to develop your defenseman properly, that's what you got to do. A defenseman takes some time to really kind of come up and become that defensive player and to be that
Mm-hmm.
stalwart defensive back end guy that you need.
Yeah. Tom, it's only necessary that I say Brady Kachuk's name just so people can have a drink. That's it. It's the only that drinking game has to keep continuing to go on. So, JPS, I'm glad to see you have yours. But
I've got
yeah, every
mine.
time we mention
I've got mine.
yeah, there you go. Either way, whoever steps in, whoever it is, if it's Foot, if it's Holland, whoever steps in, I hope that they jump in and do what they need to do, and especially that physicality that we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
missing from Lazar. It'd be nice to make sure that somebody can jump in and pick up that role, but luckily, it's Jack seems like he's starting to get his confidence back. He's starting to get a little bit of his swagger back. He still makes these bonehead mistakes, and him and Luke, if they win a game, I know somebody mentioned this too earlier. If they play an entire game without a single blunder, that would be pretty nice.
I would take that. I would definitely take that. Yeah, they tend to make some mistakes, and I know that there are some couple games where Luke's mistakes were really blatant, but when the defensive makes a mistake, it could be a bigger problem than when a forward makes a mistake. So I
Yeah.
think Luke's mistakes are going to be magnified, but yeah, seeing a mistakeless game or a non-mistake game from the Hughes brothers combined would be fantastic. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think that's should be a low bar to hit, but it's also hockey. Like you're going to make mistakes. You
Yeah.
make
Don't screw up, guys. Don't screw up. That's all you have to do. Just go out there, play a seamless game, and don't screw up. And I feel like Jack has to understand, like maybe he still has that hero mentality where he feels like he has to do it all. But he has to also be able to open his eyes and take a look and be like, yo, no offense, but I think your boy Nico is finally taking that mantle up of like just the dude that's putting the team on his back. Like Nico Hischier
should do.
as 100% is what he should be doing. But I mean, like his scoring touch this year, like we started off the show talking about, has been incredible. But it's not just that. Like in the game where Markstrom had his shutout, was that the game that he scored and then he set up Timo with a goal? Was it that game or
Can't
am I thinking
remember.
of a different game?
Can't
Either
remember.
way, like Nico's playing the type of hockey right now where he's not just good, he's making other people around him good. He's helping defensively. His game is like out of control. He's early in the season, yes, granted. But early in the season counts just like the middle of the season and the end of the season. So if this doesn't help him get towards that elusive Selke that he's been chasing, I don't know what does, because this dude, he's on a different level. He came into this season a man on a mission, and it's been super nice to see because, like you said, that's the kind of stuff that you want to see from your captain. Lead by example.
And he's doing it.
You don't need to be a big rah-rah guy. You don't need to be out there like, kicking people in the teeth and like yelling at the bench and throwing, flipping water bottles and doing all this other kind of stuff. Sometimes you just go out there and you lead by example. You do what you have to do, and that's what he's doing right now. And I'll tell you what, I feel like it's rubbing off on Timo Meier, where he's feeling that confidence again.
And they're countrymen too. They're countrymen,
Yeah.
so I think that has a little bit more to do with it as well.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you. Yeah, Jay, I know Tkachuk is definitely a pipe dream. Always will be. And I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, have a drink.
Have a drink. And,
I'll have one too.
Can dream. Man can dream. Yeah, but and so let me ask you another question. So, looking at the defense, speaking of the defense, looking at Pesce coming back, how do you feel like he's been playing so far? Because I feel like he's been pretty good. I mean, like you could tell he's still getting used to the team.
Yeah.
He's still getting used to the system and all that kind of stuff. And he's only got a couple games under his belt now, but he seems to be getting more comfortable, as is Luke, and hopefully that continues to grow. But I know there's a couple people that are like, oh, this is not the Pesce we signed up for, and I'm like, relax. Like he just came off of an injury. He's on a brand new team. Like, he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so far so good with him. And coming back from injury sucks. I can tell you that, and it takes you some time to get into it, especially when you don't have practices to, kind of be brought back up to speed. I like that him and Luke came back together and have been playing together because it's two guys on the same page as far as coming back from injury. But I think it's also great to have Luke paired up with a more veteran defenseman. So someone he can learn from, someone he can talk to on the bench, someone he can, pick a brain of at the same time. And just, Tom just said in the chat that Pesci's covering for Luke a lot. That's kind of that's kind of
what he's supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really what you want out of a veteran defenseman, and that's what he is. And I think we're going to get the Pesci that we traded for. It's going to take a little bit of time. He got let's not forget, he got no preseason. He said maybe 1-2 practices, some extra skates in the morning, but those morning skates are not high intensity. So once he gets those couple of those high intensity workouts and practices under his belt, when he gets some more gameplay, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Half the time he's like, "What do I look like, a clown? What am I funny to you?" No, I feel like he's been playing great. And, Jay Snow was saying in the chat, he's a stud. He hasn't turned the puck over. And I mean, like, covering for Luke, you bring a guy in like this because you can count on him. And I feel like that's the biggest thing is, like, he knows what the hell he's doing. Reliability, learned under, Brenda Moore. So, I mean, like, these are all great points because brought up in the chat right now, which, by the way, thank you for everybody out there on YouTube and,
absolutely,
like you said, Twitter and all these different platforms, MySpace, on Atari Live. Guys. I didn't even know that's a thing, but it is now.
Atari
do
Live.
I amuse you? Yeah, do I amuse you? He's been playing. He's been playing great. The people that have been complaining about it, I don't think they've been watching like everything that he's doing. But then again, like it sometimes when you have your defensive partner making mistakes and you're trying to cover up for it, you kind of get roped into the blame and what's going on in the ice too. So maybe that's what people are trying to see. But it's great. I feel like it's great, and like the longer he's going to be here, the better, and hopefully that helps solve a lot of the issues that the Devils were having last year.
It does, and this Devils team is a much better team than last year's Devils team. So there's a lot of pluses there. There's a lot of good things going on, and once again, I feel like we're beating a dead horse. But once this team gets legitimate practices with the full team, it's going to look like that Devils team that we all know that this is on paper. And that's really what I'm looking forward to. And, looking at the 2 days off in between Edmonton and our next home game, which I believe is Thursday, you never, you almost wonder if they're going to stay in Edmonton for a day, practice, and then fly home. Like, who knows? Like, I know these guys probably want to get home, but man, if you can get a good solid practice in there too, if they haven't had one yet, we definitely need it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, let me take a look at something.
Go ahead.
They play tomorrow. They play Monday in Edmonton.
Yep, 2 days off.
Yeah,
Tuesday, Wednesday off. Then we're home then we're home on Thursday.
Wow. Yeah, that travel day. You're leaving right after the game on Monday.
I would assume.
And the Oilers, listen, I'm not to say anything, but the Oilers are 5-5-1 right now, and they might be a team that we could possibly take advantage of, and it might be a team that we should take advantage of.
Yeah, and let's not forget. Let's not forget last year Edmonton started off abysmally, and then wound up going to the Cup Finals. So it's not like the world's not over right now. We're not clicking on all cylinders, which we eventually will be.
Yeah, the NHL. That's weird. I'm on the NHL Network or not NHL Network on the NHL app, and I think it's wrong because it has Nico Hischier at 5 goals, and Leon Draisaitl with 5 goals, and I'm like,
The NHL app being
You need-
wrong? No.
Never,
NHL app is
never,
never wrong.
never. They have their stats are
Never.
completely accurate. Yeah.
I
So
don't know what you're looking at because I'm looking at Sam Reinhart with 10. Tied with
see, I'm
Cooch and Heischer, and then Caulfield is there
just
tied at
lighting it up.
number 4. Yeah.
I don't know. I looked at the game, the head-to-head comparison against. I'll take a screenshot so you can tell I'm not
Yeah.
making this up.
I know. It's shapes and colors, so you can read it.
No, it's more than shapes and colors. Look, I'll send it in the group chat right now.
All right.
Oh my god. Looks like similar. Yeah. There we go. Boom.
Okay.
Now you can take
There
a look
is.
at it and
Just
you can
got
be like,
it.
oh,
Just got it. Great
see what I'm looking
podcasting,
at, though?
talking about what we got.
yeah. But you can see you see what I'm actually talking about.
Well, yeah, because
right?
you're looking at the players to watch. I'm looking in the stats section. You got to go to the stats section. That's
Oh,
up to date.
well, I'm half awake and I'm a moron too, so that doesn't help.
I know. If it was shapes and colors, you'd have it figured out by now.
Yeah, sort of. It's 8:30 game. No offense, Brooke Amanda. 8:30 games are not that bad. It's those 10:30 games that suck.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely those 10:30 games are terrible. I absolutely hate those 10:30 games. Or it's 10:15. Yeah, the 8:30 game is like it's like only
Just
an hour after a normal start. Yeah, so it's not too bad. But God, those 10:30 games. The other night when they played that 10:30 game, I was like in and out of consciousness trying to stay awake.
I fell asleep during the third period. I just came back from a big trip. I tried to make it through that game, and I was like, nope, I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed.
She said, lay off me. Up past your bedtime. All right. I go to sleep at, I don't even know anymore. Yeah, but those late games are brutal. That 1 o'clock game is always interesting. But how about this early in the season when they were playing overseas and it was like a 9 a.m. game? That was pretty wild.
I loved it. Welcome to the world. And I know Max for one appreciates this. I don't know if anyone else does, but welcome to the world of watching European soccer or European football.
Mm-hmm.
I should be proper about it. You get your stuff over in the morning early, just like Giants fans will next Sunday. And then you have your whole day ahead of you.
Yeah.
Which speaking of the Giants, by the way, we know that they suck. I saw a great meme.
They do.
Giants. It was something about like I've got it here. It was talking about that game next week, which is in Munich, which is at the home of Bayern Munich. And the Panthers versus the Giants. It's going to be Germany's final punishment for World War II.
Yeah.
It
ain't no joke. Dude, I'll tell you what. It's a sad state of affairs where I didn't even watch the Giants game today. I might have watched 5 minutes of it, and I could care less.
I saw a little bit of it. I went out to lunch with my parents. It was on. I really didn't care because it was like, well, it was tied, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it stayed not tied.
And I'm like, we're losing to Washington. That's just
my grandmother hated Washington.
Oh my God. The things that you don't normally see either. Like we usually own Washington. Not to get off on a football tangent, but and then all 3 fantasy football teams that I have today just took a giant dump on the middle of.
I didn't even look at mine.
I was projected to win every one of them, and every one of my teams just either somebody got hurt, didn't play, or got ejected for punching somebody. So thanks to my fantasy football teams for just destroying another Sunday for me. It's the only it's just I hate it so much. I hate fantasy football, fantasy hockey. I hate it all so much, but I also
we
love
all participate.
It's like getting burned while cooking on the stove. Like you just hate it, and you wrap a Band-Aid around it, and you go right back and you start cooking again. Mm-hmm. It's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to do, and it's fun. But when it goes sideways, it's like no one is happy. But I think that you and I are gonna, we're both We're both. I'm thinking as I'm trying to talk here, and I can't really do it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not. I almost phoned it in this weekend with my teams. I was gonna be like, I'm not even gonna bother checking. I'll just look again next week. But hey, it is what it is. Devils have a game tomorrow, and I'm excited. Which, by the way, if you don't know, now you're gonna know. We have game day live tomorrow, right before the Devils Edmonton game, probably somewhere near about 7:30 ish. Then you can go watch the Devils game, or before the Devils game starts, you can watch the first half hour of Hockey on Tap, which is tomorrow at 8:00, which features me
Mm-hmm.
and our really good friends, little Steve Schwim and that other guy that likes the Rangers. And then after the Devils game, bunch of good guys, yeah, except that Ranger fan. He's he's got the Devils living rent free in his head. He's questionable at best. Questionable at best.
He's 4 to 6. 4 to 6 in his brain. He's 4 to 6.
And then Devils After Dark, discussing the game that was tomorrow after the Edmonton game. So if you want to stay up real late, you can watch Devils After Dark. But
yeah,
there's a little plug since we had the opportunity, and I'll do that again before we end. But yeah, we have Edmonton tomorrow, and then we have a couple days off. Then we have Montreal on Thursday, followed up by I believe it was a day off, and then we play the Islanders as well, or the Fish Sticks, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
We have an opportunity this week. It's 3 winnable games that the Devils should win.
It is.
And they need to win. They need to win.
Yeah. And the Islanders are facing some injuries of their own. Matt Barzal is going to be out for a little while.
Good.
Yep. So teams that this should take advantage of. And that's the thing is, that's where that consistency comes in. So first start, and you can't look ahead. You have to stay focused on the game ahead of you, or the game in hand or the game that you have in front of you, whatever the hell you want to say. Yeah. So, yeah, Edmonton on the slate. They're still a dangerous team. You still have Draisaitl. You still have McDavid. You still have
he's
very
out.
potent offense. McDavid's out?
He's out. Yeah, he got hurt the other day.
That's
that
right.
Wicked ankle injury. That was the first
shift.
So
there you go. There you go
so
again.
You take advantage.
There you go again.
Got to take advantage.
Unless he's had a situation.
Unless he's had a miraculous recovery, which I haven't seen, but I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, you have to take advantage of that. Just like teams took advantage of us when we were weak last year.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things. It looks like he's out for a while.
Watch him win. It's Steven Angle. Come on, don't do that. Watch him win 3 in a row and then lose 3 in a row. That's not what we're looking for. That's not the consistency we need. Not the consistency we need.
No.
No, we need them. We need them
here. But you got to take advantage of a McDavid-less Edmonton.
Yeah. And seriously, too, the West Coast swing, if they can take 2 out of the 3, come home, play Montreal. And dude, Montreal's no joke right now. Montreal's one of those teams that could sneak up on you. But at the same time, I feel like the Devils are a lot better than Montreal and should be able to win that game. And then you play,
Jake Allen
like
in?
you said.
His former team.
Maybe have Jake Allen play Montreal and then have Markstrom come back in and play the old Fish Sticks, and then
it might be a good man. I mean, I'm assuming we're going to see Markstrom tomorrow because Markstrom is used to, again, the battle for Alberta was massive for Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to assume you're going to see Markstrom against a team he's very familiar with. Shooters, especially, he's very familiar with. Unless you want to throw a wrench into it and throw Jake Allen in tomorrow for a goaltender that maybe those shooters are not used to seeing.
Hey, listen, Jake Allen could probably use a bounce-back game, too, since the last time he was out there, he let up 8 goals or whatever the hell it was. So I'm sure he's probably itching to get back out there to kind of, boost his stats up and get his game back together. That's a good can I ask you a question, too? Because a lot of people were giving Sheldon Keefe crap about that for leaving Allen in that entire game and just letting him just get roasted. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have kind of 2 opinions about it. Yes, sometimes you pull a goalie to shake it up. other times you let it ride because what else are you going to do at that moment? There's nothing that's going to shake up the team. There's no way you're coming back in the game, and you got to let him work through these issues because he might not be playing all the time. So I don't know.
Yes, that's a tough one. What I can tell you, what you don't want is you never want, and I was told this. I had a coach tell me this on the bench. Was you never want to be the goalie that tells the coach to pull you. You never want to do that. I had a coach. I played in a game in college. The goalie asked the coach to take him out of the game. The coach turned to me. He's like, "You never do that." And this coach of mine was a former coach for this for my college team, or a former player for my college team, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where if it's not on the goalie, which I'm trying to remember, and I don't think it really was on him. That was that game with that really weird bouncing goal that he caught. Jake Allen caught a lot of unneeded crap for that goal in particular, but that was one of those games where that was not on Jake Allen, which for how that game went. There was a lot of crap that went on.
Yeah, it's hard to look at it because you let up 8 goals. Is 8 goals or 8 goals? You know what I mean? So it was a rough look.
It is a rough look, but at the same time, any competitive goalie out there is one of those players where you know that goalie is going through their head, going, "What do I have to do next to make the next save?" And that's not a bad thing to have to do, and to have your player do that. And we don't know what goes on in between periods. There could have been conversation between Jake Allen and Sheldon Keefe saying like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And Jake Allen might have just said, "Leave me in, I'll take it. I want this game."
Mm-hmm.
And that's a possibility too. And if that's like, we are not, again, I've said this before, we're not privy to these decisions and these conversations, and I really, really wish we were. But I'm sure there were conversations in between the second and third going, "Hey, do you want to come out? Do you want to stay in?" And if Jake Allen said, "I want to stay in," Sheldon Keefe says, "That's fine. Mark, you be ready if we really need it." But Jake Allen's in. And it could also have been a statement to the team like, this is not his fault, and I'm going to leave him in, and you guys have to make it up to him and to better your game. And obviously they didn't. We let up 5 there against Tampa in the second period. But if I remember correctly, it was only like 1 or 2 of those goals can be faulted to Jake Allen, and the rest were just complete team meltdowns. So that's one of those things. But then you got to look at the other side of the argument. If the team's having a meltdown like that, do you put the other goalie in to go into that crap situation and potentially mess with that goalie's confidence as well? Because that's a tough situation to do as well. To go into a game cold, like, that's tough. That is tough.
To go into a game cold against a team that's just lighting it up too. Like, that's not. It's not like you're going into a game cold, and it's like, oh man, it's a close one. Like, he got injured. I'm gonna get. We got to. It's like our team is just taking a steaming one in the middle of the ice right now.
Yeah.
And our other guy got peppered, so now here I come. Like, that's got to suck.
Because it was 6-2 after the second, and the Devils were starting to claw back, and then that penalty happened, which is no excuse for the Devils losing the rest of that game, but it didn't help. We tied the first period, lost the second, and we won the third. And we had a beat second period, which is the reason why. Long story short, no, I don't think that was a bad decision, because I guarantee there was a conversation in between the second and third between Keefe and Jake Allen being like, "What do you think?" And Jake Allen was probably like, "Keep me in. I'll do it. Let's do this." And I have no problem with that. It's you hate to come out, even if you're playing like crap, you hate to come out because you want to try to find that game that you have. And there's been plenty of games where I've had a crap period and then just come back lights out after the next period.
Yeah.
And
like you said, sometimes
you have to work through it. Like sometimes a goalie just needs to work through it, and a team has to work through it. Especially if it's a goalie like Jake Allen that doesn't get a lot of reps. You gotta work through these situations. So no, I don't think that was a bad move on Sheldon Keefe. Long story short.
All right. I like it. I agree. Well, it's getting about that time, my friend, and I think we should probably get
so.
get down to our final thoughts. And listen, if you don't mind, I'll jump in and start off
Go
with
right
my
ahead.
final thought right away. Halloween is a great time of year. It's the only time of year that you don't have to actually, or the only holiday that you really don't have to get together with family.
Mm-hmm.
It's a holiday where you can walk around and people will give you candy for free. It's a holiday where it's socially
Going against all
acceptable.
social norms. Don't take anything from strangers. Yet you go knock on strangers' doors and you take things from them.
Yeah. Hey, giving candy to kids on Halloween is normal, but if you try to do it after that, like November 1st, you might go to jail.
Yeah.
It's acceptable to dress up like a lunatic, and everybody's okay with it.
Yep.
And all joking aside, I think some people out in the internet need to chill out. I don't think wearing a hippie costume makes you a bad person, or is appropriation, or whatever else you want to say, or racially whatever. I think that there's some people out there that just try to stir the pot because they want to be, they want their voices to be heard, but not in the right way. I feel like there's people out there that try to think that everything's offensive. And if everything offends you, I'm going to recommend a movie for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're offended by everything out there, including a hippie costume with a fake afro wig, there's a movie that's going to set you right. It's going to make you feel nice and cozy inside. It's a movie called Blazing Saddles by a man named Mel Brooks. This movie will not only make you feel that you can now accept the world for what it is, but it will also help you overcome the challenges of being offended by the air blowing gently across your skin as you walk from one room to another. You need to lighten up. You need to get thicker skin. And you need to not care about things outside of your control. You need to be able to be a good person. That's all we need to be in this world, is a good person. You should be a good person. Don't be a racist. Don't be a bigot. Don't be a homophobic. Don't be somebody that's out there doing stupid things to people because they look different. Be a good person. And sometimes when you're trying to be a quote unquote good person and standing up for these types of things by saying, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that, in reality, you're not being a good person. You're just making noise for the sake of making noise. Get over yourself. Get over everything else. Just chill out. Live your life. Be concerned about you and how you can make a positive impact on people's lives and being a good person. Don't worry about a costume. Nobody cares. Literally nobody cares. And that's all I have to say about that.
I should have gone first. We should have just closed on that.
Sorry, bud. I've been holding that one in for all week.
I know you have. Yeah. So I'm just going to say I hope the Devils win this week. And that'll be my final thought. And make sure you tune into Game Day Live for all of the games this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Saturday. And then listen to Devils After Dark, where Sammy and Scotty of SiriusXM, who is on assignment tonight, discussed the game that was. And I know I'm ready to sign off for the weekend because we got a long week ahead of us. I'm excited about what's coming up this week. I'm excited about everything. So, Sammy, if you're ready to put the music on, there it is.
Yeah.
Just like Sammy always says, the podcast will probably drop somewhere near midnight. And Beer Baron, it's been fun. We've been chaperoneless again, and unfortunately, I don't think there's a big show next. Unfortunately, there's no big show next week because we have another 7:00 Devils game Sunday. So tune in to all the before and afters for the Devils games. And until next time, let's go Devils.
We support Nico.